Back here on the Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network, inside the Colt Brennan Memorial Studio. We'll have Pete Souza later in the show, waiting on Matt Barry of Bruins Benders podcast here. But it's not been a great week for the Bruins after like a weird kind of good 2 days. But I remember last Friday here on the Cam Show, we were talking about that 8-2 demolition at the hands of the Carolina Hurricanes on Halloween night. And the Bruins did something in that game that I had never seen in a hockey game before. Like they had a minute-long sequence that was just unfathomable to me. They gave up 3 goals in 56 seconds, and 2 of them were power play goals, but no major penalties were called. Let's recap that. Let's take you through how that happens. So you take a penalty. Then you give up a power play goal. And so from that point on, the next shift is arguably your most important of the game so far, right? You've just given up a goal after giving up a penalty, right? You've done the skate of shame and all of that. It's time to get the momentum back on this shift. What do? They give up an even strength goal about 20 seconds later. A bad goal to give up, Dmitry Orlov. And now you're really like, okay, guys, let's bear down. Let's get some momentum back. Let's get some zone time. Maybe throw in a big hit in there. Clean this act up. Okay, we just gave up 2 goals in 30 seconds. And one of them was on the power play. So, all right, big shift here. Clean it up. Let's send out our best guys. Then they take another penalty. And then they give up another power play goal within a half a minute. Like that is so bad. There's some lack of skill there, sure. But that is just terrible want to from that team. I don't know if it's bad coaching, if it's bad leadership, bad effort, or all 3. But it could well be all 3. And to do that once is enough of an indictment. But less than a week later, they essentially did it again in that game against Toronto Tuesday night. 2 goals allowed in a minute and 15 seconds, both on the power play, none coming with a major penalty. No major penalty called. So again, penalty, power play goal. All right, boys, let's tighten it up. No goals here. Another penalty and another power play goal. For a team, by the way, that was like 10% on their power play going into this and did not have the league's leading goal scorer from a year ago. He was out. They scored twice on you in a minute, 15 seconds. Oh, that's bad. That's bad. That kind of goes with everything. That's bad coaching. That's bad effort. That's no skill. And what really bothered me towards the end of that game in the third period was the Bruins did turn it on a little bit, right? They did have some pressure 5-on-5, which we very rarely see from this team. They're one of the worst teams in the league in 5-on-5 offense. And they're not much better on 5-on-4 offense, to be frank. But with like 8 minutes left in that game, they start to really put some pressure on in terms of zone time, 5-on-5. It's like back-to-back or 3 in a row shifts for Toronto where they can't get out of their own end. And through all that, the Bruins don't really put up many shots still, and they don't score. They still get shut out. And so I'm sitting there thinking, even when this team turns it on, they don't have the quality. They don't have the skill. They can't make a team pay for it. That's what's bugging me, is they do a lot of stupid crap, and then even when they're not being stupid, they're still not playing good hockey. And it really shows itself with A, their below 500 record, and B, the stupidity and lack of skill shows itself in the special teams numbers. Their power play percentage is 29th in the league. Their penalty minutes, they are still at the top by 20 minutes. They're number 1 in the league in PIMs, and second behind them is a team that is 10 minor penalties below them. The Bruins have taken 10 more minor penalties than the next closest team. Now that should bug you as a Bruins fan, not only because it shows they're stupid, but it's stupid crap. It's not like they're, having a couple of line brawls and have had a couple of games where they finished with an empty bench and that's why they lead the league in penalty minutes. No, it's trippings and hookings and, too many men on the ice calls, which we saw all the time in the postseason. It's just small crap. And it's in the offensive zone. They're taking penalties. Pastrnak gets the ultimate call out. He gets benched for an entire period in a win on Sunday. The coach admits after the game it's a coach's decision and that he was lazy on a play in the second period. And he comes back and he's a -1, couple of shots on goal, I think 4 shots on goal in this Toronto game, takes a penalty in the offensive zone, which leads to a power play goal. Zadorov takes a stupid penalty and then way behind the play and then tries to give a couple of extra ones to a guy on the ice whose back is on the ice, hoping that the refs wouldn't see it. He's been an absolute just waste. Just getting cardio out there. Takes a penalty every game. Does not deliver any kind of game-changing checks. Doesn't put guys on their ass in front of the net. None of the things that you were hoping he would bring you. Obviously not a point guy, but that doesn't move the puck at all. Just a waste. And that contract it's not huge, but they did overpay for him. That's going to look like an absolute albatross. Absolute albatross. Do we have him, Scotty? No? Okay. So I'll just keep going. I'll keep going about how much this team stinks. And the thing is, they're going to win just enough. They're going to win just enough to not be a lottery team, not be a team in that top 5 in the NHL draft. They're not there because they're not trying to be there. They probably are pretty close to having the talent to be picking in the top 5, but they're not going to do it. And it's to some degree that's frustrating. Of course you want them to win, but they're going to be bullies. They're going to beat up on the little teams and they're not going to beat the teams that they're not supposed to beat ever. And this week is a perfect microcosm of that. The last week of Bruins hockey. They get crushed by a Carolina team that's better than them. I don't know if Carolina is necessarily a real top 2 or 3 cup contender in the East, but better than the Bruins, and they crushed them. Then you play 2 pretty bad teams, 2 teams that are not going to make the playoffs, Philadelphia and Seattle. Shut them out, both of them. Congrats. All right, let's use that momentum in an arena in Toronto for a playoff team. You go on the road. You take on a team that is better than you, that is going to make the postseason, but has been pretty evenly matched the last few years. Shut out by them, 4-0. Never had a chance after the first period. Never had a chance. And even with Matthews not out there, it just really went to show that you just don't have enough. You just don't have enough horses in the stable. Because even when you're trying hard, when you're not playing stupid, which they do a lot of the time, it doesn't matter. You don't have enough. And that's all the way down. That's ownership, that's front office, that's coaching, that's players. And actually, I thought Matt and Smitty brought up a good point on the post-game show after Toronto about Jim Montgomery. And we've all admitted this season, it's not all Jim Montgomery, but Jim Montgomery does not have clean hands here. This is not something where it's like, oh, well, he's doing the best he can, but look at the roster.
We are Rogue Media Sports.